Hello, fun fans. We have a very special treat this evening. With us at this time, we have one of the most successful Division I college basketball coaches around. This gentleman spent 49 seasons as a collegiate head coach, spanning tenures at Coastal, Auburn, Clemson, South Alabama, and Cumberland. Coach Ellis has captured 8 conference regular season titles, 2 conference tournament crowns, 6 conference Coach of the Year honors, and an AP National Coach of the Year. He won 909 games as a collegiate head coach, 177 of those at Clemson. And along with those accolades, just another little piece of the list, not even the whole thing, 10 NCAA tournament appearances, 3 Sweet 16s, a member of the Alabama, Clemson, Cumberland, and Mobile Sports Hall of Fame, the ACC Coach of the Year in 1987, 1990, the winningest head coach ever in the state of South Carolina, Coach Cliff Ellis. Coach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful, guys. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Glad you're here.
We really appreciate your time. So we have Coach on here thanks to Wayne Buckingham, and he has our mutual support of his Orange and White fundraiser that all of us we're going to talk more about later, but we will be there coming up in August. So, Coach, if you don't mind, tell the listeners a little bit about Buck. What's a good Wayne Buckingham story that we probably don't know?
Well, Wayne was a very highly recruited athlete out of high school. And the sad part is he tore his knees up, and it really hindered his career. He was a potential NBA player, ended up playing in Europe, played on the 1990 ACC championship team, played in a reserve role, but of course we had Eldon Campbell and Dale Davis, so that's not a bad couple to be behind during that point in time. But I can remember the fact that he could actually jump over the hood of a car.
Wow.
And so back in the 80s, that was foreign stuff. And the fact that he could do that was amazing. He was a tremendous athlete. And unfortunately, his knees went out on him, and he never was able to reach what his potential really was because of injuries. But he's a young man that held his head together and had a great career. He's had a good career.
So how'd you, so back then, we didn't have all this internet and YouTube videos, and how'd you end up getting him to come to Clemson?
Well, there was a camp called the BC camp, and it was not far. It was in Georgia, northern Georgia. I think it was not far from, I can't remember. It's between Atlanta and Clemson. And we saw him there. And, his high school coach had worked the camp. We just started making the connection, and he was from Tennessee, and my first college job was Cumberland College, which is not far from Bell Buckle. And then he had the Atlanta connection, so it just worked. It was just a fit. And comes from a great family, and he was. We were very excited when we landed him.
I bet. Yeah, and I talked to him when he started talking. I never heard of Bell Buckle before, and it took me a minute to wrap my brain around that. So that's pretty good.
Not a big place. It's not very big.
Yeah. When you think back, what's your or one of the fondest memories of being a coach at Clemson?
Oh, without a doubt, winning the ACC championship. And it's never happened. It had never happened before, and it never happened. I mean, it's just never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And to make that run when nobody ever thought that we could. Of course, in 1987, we had a guy by the name of Horace Grant, and we had several other players with him, Grayson Marshall and Chris Michael, and several guys that were a part of a great group of guys, and they finished second. And then in 1990, we were able to win it. And then without question, that is the one fond memory that stands out in my mind, because we had to win it in the regular season. We had to beat North Carolina and Duke back to back. and we beat North Carolina the first game that week. Beat Dean's team, and we had Duke, and it was nationally televised. Back then, you didn't have every television network, but it was on ESPN, and it was one of the highest rated television regular season games at that point in time in college basketball. And Duke had Bobby Hurley and Christian Laettner in that group, and we were able to beat them at Clemson. We were able to win the championship at home, and to celebrate and see the Clemson fans just storm the floor and cut the nets down. That to me is the highlight memory. Although there's tons of memories, and there's some tough memories too.
Well, I bet we just missed that one, Bailey. We were seniors in high school, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm, and I've said on here before, Coach, that I'm the kid who used to read the press guide. Van Hildebrand is a relative of mine, a cousin, so I get press guides every year, and I knew every player in and out. Grayson Marshall's been on here, and we're just reliving my childhood now. But what does Clemson mean to you? You know, personally, as you were there for several years, what does Clemson mean to you?
Oh man, it's family. My daughter graduated from there. I've got 2 grandchildren. One graduated from there last year. I worked with Dabo as a student. She was a student trainer and worked with Dabo's group. And then I've got a grandson that's a sophomore there now. And when I moved to Auburn, 2 of my other children went to public school there. It's family. Still got a lot of friends that I stay connected to that I dearly love. Clemson's got a big piece of my heart, and it will always be special. I mean, those days were the ACC days. We had a reunion with Mike Krzyzewski and Bobby Crimmins, and several of us got together, and we talked about how special the 80s and the 80s and the 90s were. That's really when ACC basketball, when you had those 7 or 8 teams, ACC basketball, man, that was, I mean, you talk about a battle every night. And I'm not saying that there's not battles every night now with the league where it is, but it's so broad now. But those were the days, and special time. But it was just it didn't matter where you went. It didn't have to be North Carolina or Duke. I mean, you go, look, this is who we had to beat to win the ACC. Jimmy Balvano, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had to beat the Lefty Drizells. We had to beat the Terry Hollands. We had to beat the Dean Smith, Mike Krzyzewski, Bobby Crimmins. Now you talk about being proud of a group that was able to do something. I mean, you think of those days; those were, we call those battles wars, and certainly no disrespect to our military, because that's really the war. But in basketball, they were some kind of battles. I can tell you that.
Top tier stuff for sure back then. Speaking of that team and compared to nowadays, team did pretty good this past year. And I know Buck likes to say that team was the best Clemson team in history. What do you think about how the team did this year?
He said this year's team was the best in history. I'm sure.
No, his team, y'all's team back in when y'all won the ACC championship was the best team in history.
That was a different time. I mean, you're going back a different time, but let's just put it this way: there's only been one ACC champion.
That's right.
I don't know if that team could beat today's athletes. I don't know that they're fast, strong, and all that kind of stuff. But I know this: that was a very good basketball team that Clemson had this year, and but ACC championship, that's where they're going to hang their hat until somebody does that. I don't think that that can be taken away from what that group did.
Yeah, I can't. As a kid, I would wait on Wednesday night Raycom Sports, Saturday afternoon Raycom Sports, to wait on the Tigers to play whoever they were going to knock off next. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
But and those guys, I remember those guys. You know, Dale Davis, Eldon Campbell played in the league forever. But do you keep in touch with all of them still? You still in
We
contact
do.
with them?
Yeah, we do. You know, at Wayne's event last year, let's see, Horace was there, Dale comes, Eldon's been there, Grayson comes, you know, Jeff Holstein's on there. You know, a lot of those, I don't want to start naming names, Jerry Pryor, all those guys. Yeah, we stay in touch. We sure have over the years. And, you know, families grow. We don't talk every day, but, you know, Wayne has a function in I think it's first weekend of August this year, and I'll go to support it. And you know, a lot of the guys come back, and that's when we can really spend time together. But we stay in touch with each other.
Well, I think it says a lot about the team that you had because they all support this event, and they just all, you know, Eldon Campbell pops in there, Dale Davis, Horace Grant, whoever shows up, and it just says a lot about the group of guys you had.
You teach family in this day and time. I don't know how much family exists with the NIL transfer, pull everybody in, out, and all that. But that was a day and time where you had guys that stayed together, stuck together, and it was really a family unit.
And they all say the same thing. Like Bailey said, we've had a couple of them on the show, and they always bring up the word family and speak highly of you along those lines as well. And speaking of Buck's event coming up the first weekend in August, tell the folks why you support that and why you think they should also support it.
Well, first of all, he's family. You know, you support. You go to when your children have birthdays, when they have anniversaries, whatever. You support them, and that's the bottom line. And I don't think I've missed one since he did it because it's family. And look at what he's doing. I mean, he's giving scholarship. I mean, you're putting the name in a scholarship, and that scholarship will be there forever. You know, he's giving back. You know, you talk about today's athletes. I mean, if they're not happy, they'll pick up and leave on you. If they get this situation, Wayne's giving back. And I think people need to appreciate that fact. I mean, he's going, giving his time. He's bringing all these guys back, and he's doing that. And, you know, it's providing scholarship for Clemson. I mean, how can you not support something like that? And, you know, you can't, if you really say you're Clemson and your family and you have a way to support something that gives back like this, I mean, you know, you should do it, period. And I know we all give of our time to help Wayne do this, but I don't know I can't think of, and I'm not saying that this is accurate, but I don't know of any athlete that has given back more to a university or to Clemson as far as basketball is concerned, time and effort and going and being there and helping and lending a hand than Wayne Buckingham. And he's very appreciative of the fact that he got a degree from Clemson. I know he was very close to Miss Annie Tribble. Wayne went through his own hardships there at Clemson with his knee injury and different things, and he stood above all of it, and he's given back to Clemson. I can't be more proud of a student athlete or a player of what they're doing to give back than what Wayne is doing. Yeah, I'm proud of Eldon and Dale with all those NBA championship, Horace and all those guys doing what they did. I'm very proud of them. But I'm so proud of Wayne just for the fact that he's giving back. You know, he's making a difference in people's lives, and that's what I always stress to our players. You know, it's not just about basketball; it's about helping others. And when you're a college athlete and you're on campus, I would always try to say, hey, you know, speak to the students. They're the ones that are going to support you. Learn how to operate. You know, let you speak. You know, they may not speak to you because they too afraid to. What? When you walk across campus, you say, "How you doing?" Things of that type. Really promote who you are. And Wayne's promoted who he is by what he is. And you know, I'm just proud to see what he's done.
Hey man, I enjoy the event, and like you say, is supporting scholarships for kids to go to Clemson, and Wayne was open enough and to tell us that, it's specifically for kids that are getting into Clemson, but they have a minor learning disability. And he also raises money for, I think, his school supplies for some local children in the schools there. So it's definitely a good cause in the entire community, not just the university. And like Coach said, it is August 2nd, August 3rd, and August 4th. There'll be a tailgate on Friday night. There's an autograph signing event on Saturday, and then the gala Saturday night at Lakeside Lodge, and then the golf tournament on Sunday. So if you're listening, come support the event. Not just, fans like us. We love being around the former players and coaches like Coach Ellis and being able to meet them and talk to them. But you are giving back. You're being a part of what Wayne's doing, and we're really proud to be a part of it as well. But find all that information on our social media. Just find the links. If you Google Orange and White Alumni Weekend or anything like that, you can probably find it as well. But join us the first weekend in August and help us help Wayne, help Clemson and the community. Coach, we appreciate you being on. Is there anything else you think we need to add about that?
Well, the one thing that I would say in addition to that is not just about basketball. Danny Ford, I don't know if there's not been a year when he hasn't been there to support it. I know Brad Burnell supported it, Dab supports it, but there's a lot of the football players that played back then. I mean, a lot of those guys that, they come every year. A lot of those guys back in the day, I know one of the Perry guys is there all the time, LeVon Kirkland. I start naming names, but a lot of those football players were there at that time, and they come back and support it too. I think it's wonderful to see the different athletes. I've seen baseball players from that time. I've seen golfers from that time. It's just, Wayne was a basketball player, but he's gotten a lot of support from the other sports too. And I did want to add that to you. And it was good being with you. I wish you the best, and I'll see you guys in August.
Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Have a good evening.
All right.